Hello, I'm Rick Joyner, and here for our weekly little talk on a prophetic perspective of the times. And we really need a prophetic perspective of the times. Now, we need to understand clearly where we are, what's happening, and we need to know where we're going, what's going to happen. So that's the reason for these little weekly talks, and I'm going to be sharing with you some inside information that I believe comes from the throne room. It's one thing to have inside information from the Oval Office, and that can be very helpful, but we need to hear from God. So we're in pursuit of God and His understanding and His perspective. Now, America is the strongest nation on the earth. We're strong in every way. Militarily, our economy is the strongest in the world, and all, but as you've heard, it was circulated pretty widely on the internet and on some news programs about the release of the information of how close we came to a total meltdown last September when the markets had that big drop, how it could have been far, far worse. The Fed stepped in and shut off trading, stopped what they thought was a multi-trillion-dollar meltdown that in their opinion would have been the end of our economic system. Those were the words they used, and the end of our political system. And that's what think about that. In one day, they lost $550 billion, was pulled from our markets, from our mutual funds especially, in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Had they not stepped in, they said trillions would have gone out that day. And one thing it looks like, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, I know a lot of you are, and I try to listen to them and keep an open mind, but I've never been one who's really been prone to believe a lot of the conspiracies, but somehow this was not done by accident. And it seemed to have been very systematic, and a lot of things that are going on right now, it almost looks like there is a master plan behind it. And you've never heard that from me before. And I say we see in part, we know in part, and I'm just sharing a little sliver there, but there's some things going on right now that I could understand people really embracing some of those conspiracy theories and believing that they're trying to bring about a meltdown of our economy and also a devaluation of our dollar to bring in a one world currency. This really could, it looks like all the conspiracy guys who have been screaming about this for years, it looks like they were right. We are really headed that way. This looks orchestrated. Now, whether it is or not, it doesn't matter to us. We have a source that it doesn't matter what goes on in the world. We have a kingdom, cannot be shaken. We serve another king who's over every king in the world. We have Christ in us, the hope of glory. And, there is more power in a single believer, the most immature believer, than in all the antichrists that ever live, including whatever ultimate antichrist manifests at the end. We should not be afraid of any antichrist. They should be afraid of us. We have one much greater. He who is in us is much greater than he who is in the world. We have God in us. But this is a time when we really need, to understand God's plans, His purposes. Now, one of the things I felt like the Lord spoke to me almost 30 years ago now, when I started to study eschatology a little bit, which is a study of end times prophecies, He said that most of what is written, and I think it's true, I think maybe 90% of what is written emphasizes the Antichrist more than Christ. But if we're really going to understand the times, I believe we need to give 10 times more attention to what Christ is doing than what the Antichrist is doing. God is building a city. And we're in pursuit of the same thing that Abraham was after. A city that God is building, not men. Look, the cities of men are going to go a certain way. They are going to come to an ultimate disastrous end. There is no question about it. Scriptures are clear. Now we can see it in the natural, happening right before our eyes. But God, at the same time, is building a city that has foundations. It has substance. That's what Abraham was in pursuit of, and what everyone truly walks by faith is pursuing. What God is building, not just men. So I would encourage you, to do something practical, to be prepared for the times. get in your local church. Get in a local church where you fit in, where you feel God, you feel His presence, you know it is your purpose to be there. Be a part of that which God is building. His city is His people. That's why He talks about that new Jerusalem that comes down out of heaven is His bride. It is His bride. So I believe the most important thing any of us can do right now to be prepared for the times is to serve the King, to see the King, always see Him in every situation, because He is over all rule and authority and power and dominion. Then find your place in His body, that city that He is building. And we're going to see that city, we're going to see the church starting to take increasing definition. That church, the church is also called a holy nation. You're going to see a nation forming within the nations that is distinct and so clear, so bold, that it is like a city set on the hill. And in these dark times, that light from that city is going to shine brighter and brighter. Find your place in that city that He is building. Thank you for being with us. You don't want to miss these. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit every week about the things that are going on, the events, but also God's perspective of them. Thank you.